Peace. This is Jamal Robinson with 720astrology.com. Today's date is April 23rd, 2024. At the time of recording this, it is 2:13 p.m. Central Standard Time. So let's talk about the full moon in Scorpio, which happens today. It will perfect at 6:47 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make adjustments for your time zone. And this full moon is at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So this is a very intense full moon for a few reasons. And let's begin the conversation by looking back to October 25th of 2022, when we had a partial south node solar eclipse at 2 degrees of Scorpio. So a south node eclipse means it's something we need to release. And with it being a solar eclipse, it's a more intense experience. Some people left this planet around this transit. Now, with this being a solar eclipse, it means that this was a new moon on October 25th. So new moons are always about setting intentions, moving forward, taking steps forward. It's the beginning of a cycle. So if we go back to that and look at it, and you analyze your life, and especially if you have any key placements around the first 5 degrees of the fixed signs, and that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, then you were being, or whomever has those placements, were being pushed to release. Collectively, we were still being pushed because we all have Scorpio in our chart, and we all were living with Scorpio in the south node. So wherever Scorpio is in our chart, we were being challenged to release. But if you have early decan placements, the first 5 degrees of the fixed signs, you were really being pushed to release. And releasing is not easy. I remember going to the chiropractor the last time, and he has you, tell you to take a deep breath and then exhale. And as you exhale, then he pushes down and makes that adjustment. Damn, everything loud want to go by today. And as he pushed down one time, he said, "Hey, what are you holding on to?" And so it's not always easy to release and to let go, especially if you are very fixed, like I am and many others. If you got a lot of fixed placements in your chart, it's not always easy to let go. The flip side, very fixed energy is good for getting things done because it's that stick-to-itness. But what about when the cycle has come to an end and it's time to let something go? It has run its course. Well, when we had that new moon partial eclipse on the 25th of October in 2022, then, around that time we were being challenged to release. With this full moon at 4 degrees of Scorpio, we could kind of say that this is like a review, an examination. Did we take steps back then to release? And what's the best way to determine? Analyze your life right now. Do you feel like you are in a cycle where you're spiraling downward? or are you spiraling upward? And this is not judgment. Relative to Scorpio and Taurus, the Scorpio Taurus axis in your chart, how do you feel? How did the conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus sit with you? How did it settle in your soul? Did you feel like something was like a tower moment was coming? Did you experience a tower moment? Well, all these things could be working in conjunction with the new moon that occurred, the new moon eclipse that happened on the 25th of October, 2022. And this being a culmination point where we're having to look at ourselves respectively and see, did we answer the call? Did we at least take steps in the direction where we were being pushed? All full moons are centrifugal in nature. New moons are centripetal. And this is something I'm going to talk about more in depth when I do the video. I have a little mini lecture coming on Mars and Venus. Because Mars is associated with knives and the male genitalia, it is pushing out. It is the seed. The seed has come. The seed is an outward expression of intention. So because the male member or the masculine driving force is already externalized, it is trying to go in, which is centripetal. It means it's trying to spiral back inwardly. Because the feminine, Venus, counters Mars. Venus has love to give because the love is inside. Mars is trying to get to that love. Venus already has it. What Venus is looking to do is to express it and to push it out, which is centrifugal. Venus is the natural template for the full moon. Mars is the natural template for the new moon. It is emergence. And the full moon is culmination. What has come of the emergence? And now, what do we have to continue the process and to send it out? So although Mars is emergence, so this is the duality that constantly happens between the masculine and the feminine. Although the male is expressing and looking to express, it desires to go in. Although the feminine is inwardly driven, it is looking to go out. And although the feminine is receptive and pulling down or inward, it is actually looking to express. Because at the full moon, the energy that is locked in the tension between the sun and the moon is now going to be released out, centrifugal. So with this Scorpio full moon, things are coming up to the surface that maybe have been suppressed and pushed down. And this is a really, really big theme with this full moon in Scorpio, because the Scorpio moon is the Patrice O'Neal moon. I know a lot of videos online are talking about the pink moon, the Scorpio pink moon. But as in Aquarius, I gotta be different. So I'm calling this the Patrice O'Neal moon. Why? Because Patrice O'Neal had his moon in Scorpio. And so I want to talk about some of the attributes of the Scorpio moon and why this one is so acute. This moon in Scorpio. The Scorpio moon is suspicious. It can be controlling. It can be overpowering. It can be compulsive. It can be victimized. Very passionate, desirous. Now, from the years of studying Patrice O'Neal's body of work and his philosophies and how he expresses, you can hear the Scorpio moon coming through. He's always suspicious. If he goes in the room and somebody is trying to be too loud and forceful with their personality, he gets real quiet. And what he's doing, he's studying this person. He's looking for their flaws. He's looking for chinks in their armor. He's looking for the bullshit. He's looking for what they may be trying to hide. Suspicious. The moon in Scorpio is can be very controlling. His philosophy on relationship was about the man should put his happiness first, and then it trickles down from there. So his philosophy on relationship was about being in control. Why? Because he felt like men naturally were victimized by women. Because the understanding of the power that women possess. And his argument was that I've got to go and do a million things and I've got to become this and that just to be at the level of a woman who's beautiful and who maybe hasn't had to do it. Her beauty puts her at the level of me having a 20-year career and me being lauded and applauded. And so a lot of his ethos as a Sagittarius sun, his philosophy, was based on his moon in Scorpio, which is a moon that at the core, I think he felt victimized. And that's another conversation we're going to touch back on with the Venus-Mars paradigm, when we talk about the fear that the masculine can have of the feminine, and archetypal, deep, psychological, with there's a concept called vagina dentata. And it's the fear of teeth inside of the vagina that castrate the male. And when you think about the sexual process and what happens to the man, he has to die at some point. At some point, the feminine will outlast the masculine, and he has to die. And so it's a lot of these deep psychological, subconscious mechanisms that are at play when we're trying to figure out the relationship between man and woman, or masculine and feminine. The Scorpio moon is very passionate, very desirous, and he talked about how adventurous he was with his sex life and going to Brazil and paying for women of the night in Brazil. And Sagittarius by itself is known for being adventurous, and you couple that with the moon in Scorpio with these deep desires, deep sexual, maybe almost this dark sexuality. So you got all these things that show up with the Scorpio moon. I have a child who has a moon in Scorpio, and I can already see the potential towards compulsivity, especially around his siblings, not wanting to feel left out, and potential towards being controlling. And so as a parent, I have to mitigate this and talk to him and continue to counsel him and guide him, because no position in the chart is fatalistic, as in, oh, you're doomed. Moon in Scorpio, oh boy, but we want to understand the potential negatives of this moon. This moon in Scorpio is about stripping people down to the core. And that's what Patrice O'Neal would do. He would strip people down to the core so that he could feel comfortable interacting with them, because he did not want to interact with the facade. So think about this right now. Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus. Taurus is beauty. Scorpio is the ugly that the beauty is dependent upon. Scorpio wants to know what's the ugly truth. Let's get down to the brass tacks. Don't bullshit me. So right now, this energy is pervasive, and it is being magnified by the fact that the moon is in fall in Scorpio. So the moon does not feel secure in Scorpio, because it's a very depressive energy. It's the ugliness. The moon likes Taurus, whereas it is exalted, because Taurus is, I feel secure. I've got food. I've got resources. Well, Scorpio makes the moon be in a state of feeling lack. To add to this, the modern ruler of Scorpio, meaning the receiver of the moon, Pluto, is in a T-square to the sun and the moon. So the moon's receiver is squaring it and the sun, adding to the tension, adding and maybe magnifying the potential negatives of the moon in Scorpio. One thing I want to say about this, though, there's a million things we could say, but I want to say this. There are no victims. There are no victims. I had someone reach out to me this morning, and a text message with a sob story, and then it comes down to, I need a reading, but I need to do it for half. I need it to be for half off. So in other words, the text message is conveying the fact that you're a victim, but you're going to victimize me by expecting me, not taking into account, it's in the morning, I'm getting up, I'm trying to get my children at 7:25, we're trying to get out the house and go to school. By 7:25, let me tell you what has happened by 7:25 every day. My wife has gotten up, she gets up at 4 o'clock on the morning she works. She gets up, she preps all of our food, she packs the baby's lunches, then I walk her out. She gives me the rundown. Hey, here's all your food right here. Here's their food for dinner. They just need you to heat up this and put it in the canister for them to pack it in their lunch. Now this is why the person who texts me is probably sleeping. Okay? By 6:30 or 6 o'clock, they're up, they're brushing their teeth, I'm getting their breakfast ready. And I don't say this, I'm not ashamed saying this, I go in and style my daughter's hair. I'm making sure their lunch is packed. I'm cleaning their glasses. I'm getting their medicine ready, because they got a little cold, getting their medicine ready, all this. We're trying to get out. So you text me at 7:25 with your sob story, but what about all the shit I got going on? You see the selfishness that this person, I'm sure didn't realize at the moment, because the person felt victimized. And when you allow yourself to feel victimized, what you can then do is excuse yourself to victimize other people and to not take into account. First, you call me on my phone, I don't answer. Then you send me a text message. And then you say, I want to pay you half of what you charge. There are no victims. So I wasn't going to allow myself to be victimized. I got shit going on. I have people who answer to me, or people who look to me to have things in order. I have responsibilities. So there are no victims. But this is one thing that's coming bubbling up right now with Pluto squaring the sun and the moon. People feeling victimized and powerless and wanting a hero or heroine to come save them. The only savior there is you. And you know, I'm telling you why I am so adamant about this and how this hits home. I've been feeling victimized this year. You see what I'm saying? I pulled my solar return chart for this year. And guess where my moon is for this solar return from 2024 to 2025, February? It is in Scorpio. My moon is in fall in my solar return chart. So I looked at this and I said, oh shit. Shit. You know? But here's the thing about planets or luminaries being debilitated. They force you to learn how to adapt. I've been having to adapt this year. I've been having to adapt to a lot of bullshit this year and overcome. I told you I had the raccoons in the house, and the raccoon, one of the messages it says is adapt. The raccoon uses its hands. And so whenever we have a reference to the hands, it's about what do I have in my possession, Taurus? Taurus, what do I have in my possession? What do I have of value? What do I value? So I've been having to really look at what I have and make sure I'm utilizing my resources properly. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. So the same stuff I say I have to live by, I get served the same bitter medicine. I'm not exempt. So I want to let's be clear about this right now. Do not give in to being victimized, because at the end of the day, nobody fucking cares. Nobody cares. Because everybody's going through their own shit. Now, even if they're not going through, everybody's going through some shit. At some level. And so, this difficult moon is forcing us, ladies, put your big girl panties on. Fellas, put your big boy drawers on, or your underwear on. And it's not always easy to do that. So I've covered that. The moon is in fall. Pluto too, in this square. There's already tension at a full moon between the sun and the moon. And when you have a T-square, what it does is, like, you've got a very tight line, or, like let's use an example. So this is the full moon. This is this tension. I'm pulling on this thing as tight as it can be. Now, if you got an adjutant that comes in and wants to poke at this while it's tight, it just adds more angst. But what does Pluto do? Pluto digs, because Pluto is lord of the underworld. So we got to use this energy right now to dig, to unearth things in our lives and ourselves, and see, what do I have buried that I need to release, and also what do I have buried as far as what I need to pull out of myself to be used. Moses means to be drawn out. Educare, to be educated, is to be drawn out. What is drawn out of me? What can be drawn out? Meaning, what is deep down within me? Pluto. My old trainer used to say, hey, Big Daddy, I'm going to tell you your diet this week, it's going to come down to this. What's your intestinal fortitude? How much intestinal fortitude you got? The moon is also being received by the traditional ruler of Scorpio, which is Mars. I want you to listen to this. Mars right now is at 24 degrees of Pisces. It's conjunct Neptune and separating from Saturn, but it's still within range of conjunction of Saturn. So Mars is catching the business right now because it's trying to get away from Saturn, which has been making it feel limited, but now it's coming up against Neptune, which has it confused. So it's almost like a slave being freed and not knowing, well, what do I do now? I've been a slave all this time. Okay, I'm free, but what do I do? All I know is being a servant. So Mars is kind of a little confused right now and might feel like it's fighting a ghost. But listen to me. I want to bring up an aspect that is rarely discussed amongst astrologers, and it's the novale. Mars is in a novale aspect to the sun at 4 degrees of Taurus. Now, the sun in Taurus is about, what is Taurus? Security. Security. We have overcome the winter. We have passed the vernal equinox. And once the sun moves into Taurus, it's official, baby. Spring is here. The earth has adjusted. The temperature has adjusted, and it's official that spring has arrived. That's important to keep in mind, because when something is 40 degrees ahead, it is looking into the future for the trailing planet. The trailing planet, or the approaching planet, is Mars. Mars is approaching the sun. So the sun is setting a precedent for Mars of security. In other words, security is coming if you continue doing the work. 40 degrees, think about it. 40 days and nights, the flood. 40 days wandering in the wilderness. 40 days of fasting. 40 weeks of gestation for the baby. 40 is the number of days it takes from the start of a season until that season becomes crystallized and we move into the fixed or the succeedent sign. So in other words, Aries to Taurus, Capricorn to Aquarius, from Cancer to Leo, I'm leaving out something. Cancer, Leo, from Libra to Scorpio. It takes 40 days for the adjustment to be made to where the earth registers the temperature of the season. So keep that in mind if you're feeling hopeless right now. Mars is your indicator to keep pushing ahead. 40 degrees to security. Because what's coming up is Mars is preparing to move into its domicile in Aries. Venus is going to be moving into Taurus. Now it's going to be in a square to Pluto at first, but keep your eyes on the prize. And we'll end it with that. Private readings, you can reach me through my website, 720astrology.com. Know the stars to know yourself. Peace.